Hello. Hello, good morning. How are you all? So, China's rise as an economic power and its influence on other nations. So, integration of China's economy and interdependencies originated from this helped to restrain issues with Japan, US, ASEAN and Russia. So China as an economic power, rise of China as an economic power. When China rose as an economic power, it could influence the other nations. When China rose as an economic power, it could influence other nations. So the China's economy was integrated. That means there were not much trade barriers. So interdependencies originated from this integration of China's economy. So when China's economy was integrated, there were interdependencies among different nations. That means for trade and other purposes, there were relations between different nations. Okay. So, this interdependency originated from this integration of economy. So, this integration or this relationship with other nations, mainly that economic-wise relationship, helped to restrain issues with Japan, US, Russia and also ASEAN. So there were several issues between these nations, but the economic aims or the China's integration of economy helped to restrain or control these issues. Okay, issues between China and Japan, US, Russia and ASEAN. So all these were based mainly on the economic considerations. Okay. So China began to rise as an economic power, then it could influence other nations. Then interdependencies originated from the integration of China's economy, and it helped to reduce the issues or conflicts between China and other nations. Clear? Then influence on other nations. China's influence on other nations. China had differences with Taiwan. Okay, Taiwan, and this Taiwan was considered as a renegade province or a rebelled province. But that problem was also solved through the integration of its economy. Okay, so there were several differences with Taiwan. For China, Taiwan was considered as a renegade province or rebelled area, but that problem was also solved by the integration of economy. Then after 1997, financial crisis. You all know about the financial crisis occurred in the year 1997. China began to contribute much for the stability of ASEAN economies. So it reduced the fears of China's rise as an economic power. So through the integration of economy, China began to rise as an economic power. But because of some reasons, the fears of China's rise was controlled or reduced. As a result of the financial crisis of 1997, China contributed much for the stability of ASEAN economies, and it limited the fears of China's rise as an economic power. And China also plays the role of a global player, or it acts as a global player by investing in Latin America and African countries. So it acts the role of a global player by investing in Latin American and African countries. So how China can influence the other nations? First example, Taiwan. There were differences between China and Taiwan. Taiwan is considered as the renegade province or rebel province, but that problem was solved through the integration of its economy. Then after the financial crisis of 1997, China contributed much for the stability of ASEAN economies, and it limited the fears of China's rise as an economic power. Then it acts as a global player by investing in Latin American and African nations. Then I am going to the next topic, India-China relations. So before the coming of European powers, this India and China were great powers. Okay, you already studied about these civilization, Chinese civilization and Indus Valley civilization. So there was a great culture for both these countries. So they were great powers even in before the colonial period. There were trade relations between the two very flourishing areas of the world at that time. And China, through its unique tributary system, China could influence on its borders. So at that time, China followed a unique tributary system. Then what is the unique tributary system? Tributary system means China could influence its border countries, or the border countries were forced to accept the suzerainty or the supremacy of China. And these countries, these border countries, gave tribute to China by accepting its supremacy. That is unique tributary system. So China had a tributary system. That means the border countries or the neighboring countries of China accepted the supremacy of China by giving tribute. So from that we can understand the influence of China on its borders in earlier times. So the countries that accepted the supremacy of China were Mongolia, Korea, then parts of Indochina, Tibet, etc. Then the kingdoms and empires in India also had relations with China. And these relations were mainly political, economic and cultural. So India had also connections with China, political, economic and cultural influences over China. But in the areas where both these countries, where India and China had exercised influence, there was not much interaction. Okay. Sometimes India and China, in earlier times, India and China had political, economic and cultural influences, except in the regions where both the countries had exercised influence. So after getting independence of India, or after the formation of People's Republic of China, remember that year 1949. So after this, the whole world thought that these two countries would join together and they would shape the future of Asia. And at that time, immediately after our independence, or immediately after the formation of People's Republic of China, There were very close relations between the two nations. And it was this Hindi-Chini Bhai relation was there during the time of Nehru, then there Zhou Enlai. So very good relations were there. But the Chinese, when the Chinese took over Tibet in 1950, it created some problems. India was not in support of this Chinese takeover of Tibet. The people of Tibet also opposed this Chinese occupation, and the relationship between the two became worse during the time of 1960s, or during the time of border conflict between India and China. So at that time China claimed two regions of India, Arunachal Pradesh, major part of Arunachal Pradesh, then the Aksai Chin region of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir. So after getting independence, or after the formation of this People's Republic of China, both these countries had good relations, and the whole world thought that they would shape the future of Asia. Very good relations were there, and it was called as Hindi-Chini Bhai relations. You will study this in another chapter in detail. It was during the time of Nehru. Then there the Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai. Then when the Chinese took over Tibet, it created some problems between the two nations, between India and China. And the situation became worse when there was border conflict occurred in 1962. What was the reason for this 1962 war between India and China? China claimed several regions of India, major part of Arunachal Pradesh and the Aksai Chin region of Ladakh. So this shows the picture that Hindi-Chini Bhai. Nehru and that V.K. Krishna Menon, the then defense minister. Then Chinese occupation of Tibet in 1950. Then Indo-China war. So in 20th century, armed confrontations, the armed confrontations that occurred between India and China in the 20th century made some difficulties in the foreign affairs, foreign policy of both the countries. Armed confrontation mainly of 1962 created trouble in the relations between these two nations. So in 1962, in the Indo-China war, India faced military blow, or China easily defeated India. So until 1976, the diplomatic relations between the two became downgraded. And after 1976, a slight improvement was there. China began to change its policies. They gave importance to pragmatic decisions, pragmatic policies, and gave less importance to their ideological considerations. Okay. So Chinese victory over India in the 1962 war, and until after this war, until 1976, the diplomatic relations between the two became downgraded. And after 1976, there was an improvement in the relations between the two as a result of change in the policies of China. They began to give less importance to their ideological considerations, and they became more pragmatic, more practical in their relations. So in 1981, talks were conducted to resolve border issues between the two nations. 1981. Then after the end of Cold War, many changes occurred, and now both these have strategic and economic dimension, and both these powers are claiming that they are the rising powers, or they both these countries try to become rising powers in the global politics and plays a major role in Asian economic and politics. So 1981 talks between the two nations helped to resolve the border issues between the two. Then after the end of Cold War, changes occurred. Now the situation occupied strategic and economic dimension. So both these countries tries to become, or they are claiming as rising powers in global politics, and they play a major role in Asian economy and politics. So Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China in 1988. So Rajiv Gandhi visited China in December 1988. At that time, Chinese premier was Li Peng. So measures were adopted to contain conflict and maintain peace and tranquility on the border. Tranquility also peace. Okay, maintain peace and tranquility, calmness on the border. So many agreements were signed for cultural exchanges and cooperation in science and technology, and opened 4 border posts for trade. So Rajiv Gandhi visited China in December 1988. At that time, Chinese Premier Li Peng was the Chinese Premier at that time, and measures were adopted to contain conflict and maintain peace and tranquility on the border. Then many agreements were signed for cultural exchanges and cooperation in science and technology, and opened 4 border posts for trade. So after 1999, Indo-China trade reached 30% per year. So after 1999, the trade between the two reached 30% per year. So trade between China and India increased. In 1992, it was $338 million, and in 2016, it reached $70 billion. So trade increase between the two nations. In 1992, it was $338 million, and now it became $70 billion in 2016. Then cooperation in building energy deals abroad. So both these are working together. Now they are following, not now, at that time, in 2015, during this time, cooperation in bidding energy deals abroad. Then both the countries follow similar policies in World Trade Organization. Similar policies in World Trade Organization. So you studied about India's nuclear tests. So the 1998 nuclear tests of India was justified mainly from the threats. Even though we are following the policy of cooperation, we have some threats from China. So when India made these nuclear tests in 1998, that action, that nuclear test was justified because of these threats from China. And this China always maintain a good relationship with Pakistan and helps in their nuclear program of Pakistan. Then the military relations with China's military relations with Bangladesh and Myanmar creates a hostile situation to Indian interests. Then these issues were there but never led to conflicts. All these issues never led to conflicts. After 1962 war, there was no major conflict between the two. So India's nuclear test of 1998 was justified because of the threats from China. Then China always follow a cooperative policy with Pakistan. China helped Pakistan in its nuclear program. Then military relations. China's military relations with Bangladesh and Myanmar create hostile situation to the Indian interests in South Asia. So even though there are several issues, it never led to conflicts. Okay. Still talks are conducting to resolve boundary questions, boundary issues. Then military cooperation increase. And now after the formation of this Modi's government, there are constant visits to China. So still talks are conducted to resolve boundary issues. Then military cooperation between the two increased. Then there are constant visits to China. Then a picture of Modi's visit. So positive and sound relations between the two. Why there is positive and sound relations between the two? Because of increasing transportation and communication links, then common economic interests, then global concerns. So because of these three, there are positive and sound relations between the two nations. Increasing transportation and communication links, common economic interests and global concerns. So it is the picture of that recent military incursion occurred in this year. So I am just going through the last topic, India-China relations. Before the advent of European powers, these countries, India and China, were great powers, and there was a unique tributary system in China that shows the influence of China on its borders. Then what is tributary system? Chinese supremacy was accepted by its neighboring countries by giving a tribute to China. It was a symbol of accepting the supremacy of China. And Mongolia, Korea, parts of Indochina and Tibet are the examples. Then kingdoms and empires in India also had political, economic and cultural influences over China. But in the regions where both the countries had exercised powers, there was not much close interaction. Then after India's independence, or after the formation of China, People's Republic of China, we thought that the whole world thought that these two countries would join together and they would shape the future of Asia. And in earlier days there were good relations between the two, and it was called as Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. Then problems arose when China took over Tibet in 1950. Then there was a border conflict between India and China in 1962. Okay, that border conflict was in the year 1962, and it was on the issue of Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin region. Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin region in Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh. when military confrontations occurred between India and China, there were some difficulties in the foreign relations between the two. Okay. So India-China relations, it was considered as a military blow on India. Actually, more people died on the Chinese side, but militarily it was a great defeat for India. Then diplomatic relations became downgraded until 1976 after this Indo-China conflict. But a slight improvement occurred and the policies, when China began to change its policies into more pragmatic, there were some changes, and they gave less importance to the ideological matters. So in 1981, talks were conducted to resolve border issues. Then after the end of Cold War, 1990s, changes occurred. Now both these countries have strategic and economic dimension, and both these countries claim as rising powers in the global politics, and both these countries play a major role in Asian economics and politics. Then Rajiv Gandhi visited China in December 1988. So measures were adopted to contain conflict and maintain peace and tranquility on the border. Then several agreements were signed for cultural exchanges and cooperation in science and technology. Then opened 4 border posts for trade. After 1999, India-China trade reached 30% per year. Then cooperation, trade between India and China increased. In 1992, it was $338 million, and in 2016, it rose to $70 billion. Then both these countries followed a policy of cooperation in bidding energy deals abroad. Then they are following similar policies in World Trade Organization. Then India's nuclear test of 1998 was justified because sometimes there were several threats from China, and China helps Pakistan in its nuclear programs. Then military relations of China with Bangladesh and Myanmar also create a hostile situation to the Indian interests in the region, South Asian region. Then these issues never led to conflict. So these issues were there, but still they never led to conflict between the two nations. So talks are conducted to resolve boundary issues. Then military cooperation between the two became increased. Now the leaders are making constant visits to each other or each country. Then positive and sound relations between the two because of increasing transportation and communication links, then common economic interests and global concerns. Okay. But in 2020 we can see some troubles between the two nations. Okay.